Hi everybody, my name is Dave McLaren. I'm president of G&L Guitars, and I want to show you our new CLF Research S500. First, I want to tell you a little bit about where did this come from. This guitar is based on a design idea that I had. I called it Project 1979 S500. If you follow the CLF Research accounts on Instagram or Facebook, hashtag Project 1979 S500 takes you all the way through whatever crazy idea I had at the beginning for this thing to the finished product as we have here, which is now the new CLF Research S500. So it's a lot of fun. I think it's kind of different that somebody at a company will kind of take you through where they're going, and sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. And on this version, the Okume body is wrapped in this nice, rich tobacco sunburst. And this tobacco sunburst, what my objective is to capture the look of a late 70s CLF Research tobacco sunburst, which was usually on a poplar body. Not quite as pretty, but the color tone was like that. And in the early 80s, there was a G&L sunburst, which was on a mahogany body, and the three-tone sunburst, which was nitrocellulose finish, kind of faded into what looks like a tobacco sunburst. So Malcolm's job here was to try to capture a blend of, like, it was late 70s, early 80s time period, and I think he really nailed it. This is absolutely beautiful. I love it. So this neck is our kind of our modern classic. It feels very much like our normal S500, but it looks different, and the looks are a lot of the party on this thing. It's the vibe. First of all, you might notice these dots look kind of large. These dots are the same as that we use on bass guitars. And so the late 70s and early 80s CLF Research guitars all had bass dots before we started putting the smaller traditional guitar size dots on here. So the bass dots, they're kind of big and funky looking on a guitar, and I guess George and Leo thought that was cool, and that, of course, that was going back to the 70s, so I totally dig it. So this guitar had to have the big bass dots on it. The headstock is our original G&L headstock, really debuted in 1980, and this one has Kluson tuners on the back. And the reason for the Kluson tuners is I wanted this to have kind of the look of those late 70s, early 80s CLF Research guitars, which had shallower keys on it, but the styling was very much like these. And these Klusons feel fantastic. I love them. They have the vintage vibe, and it's just right for this guitar. Okay, on this version, the Okume body is wrapped in what I call Mocha madness. And this color, what I was trying to do is kind of cover the vibe of the 70s Mocha that we think of maybe on Swamp Ash. I also wanted to cover the early 80s look of what was then natural finish on mahogany, but that natural nitrocellulose ages into this kind of a golden, kind of a honey color, or actually deeper than that, and it kind of looks like this too. So this was my pastiche, I guess, of vibes that represent everything that I thought was the sexiest Mocha vibe bodies, regardless of the wood of the thing. It just, what hit me. So this was, it began as kind of our whiskey finish, and then Malcolm worked on that, making it more brown. And I think we just found this fantastic spot for it, where it's really designed for this guitar and this wood. So I don't know how it looks on other wood, but at this point I don't care, because it was made to do this, and it looks spectacular. It's exactly what I wanted. The 3-ply black pickguard, it has that dark look. So this looks kind of warm and smoky. This 3-ply with the little white trim kind of popping it, giving that crisp line. Again, the CLF knobs, they're the jewelry that separate it. So now you've got this darkness and they have this beautiful bling like Tiffany's jewelry, these knobs. The red switch tip, again, that grabs your attention, says, hey, look at me, I do something important, and it does. The GNL dual fulcrum bridge always looks very stout. It looks elegant but stout, kind of like these knobs. They're clearly beefy things, but they look elegant, just like this bridge. But the vintage GNL vibrato arm, which is still a push-in one here, just like the other guitar. And I adjust the tension with the little set screw on the side. Look at that, it's a real nice spot there. This version also has the big dots. These ones are actually a black pearl instead of a straight black color as they might have been at the time. We have this black pearl bass dots and they look really nice, and from a distance they're black, but they have a little bit more interest to them as you get close. But again, the big bass dots have this funky look to it that's like, they're like fun. Instead of being discreet like 80s, maybe tiny little things, they're hidden. No, they're here and they're big and they're loud. It's fun. Just like the S500 logo on this. It's kind of boisterous. It's in your face. It's going, I'm here to have a good time and I'm bringing the hardware, you know? S500. But the big feature of this guitar is what you can't see immediately, and that are these pickups. This guitar began as me fantasizing, I guess, about something that was really a styling notion, an expression of an S500 from a different time, as though instead of 1989, it was 1979 that the guitar was prepared. And along the way, my brother John really spent a lot of time studying the S500 pickups and studying the earlier S500s from the first generation S500 from 1982 and looking at differences, and he spent much too much time, I think, listening to what I wanted. I wanted this S500, I wanted to still have that magnetic field design fullness. I wanted to have that sense of high fidelity about it, that fullness. But I wanted to have more air and sparkle and chime. I wanted it to be a softer, gentler version of that. I just imagine these 70s funk tones with all this glassiness, but there's just a little more meat in it. There was just a little more potential that magnetic field design could probably do for it. So in describing what I wanted to my brother, he kept working iterations of the pickups until we got to these that are just absolutely capture it. If you like S500s, I really think you might like this softer, gentler version of them, but you still are going to be using the volume and the bass control quite a bit. Remember, we have volume, treble, bass in the passive treble bass system. The key thing that I wanted to put in this guitar was a decade earlier vibe. The S500 that we sell today was made in 1989, so that is 10 years after the earliest GNL instruments were being prepared in 1979. So what I wanted to do is make an S500 that looked very much like it was prepared in 1979 for the 1980 launch, but with a little extra emphasis on the 1979 fun vibes about it. As though it would have been the GNL S500 that GNL Music Sales Vice President Dale Hyatt would have loved to have in his catalog to sell in 1980. So in a way, I was imagining I was making this thing for Dale Hyatt. What would put a smile on his face to go out to his GNL dealers with in 1980? And I bet you Dale would have loved this thing. So this one's for you, Dale Hyatt.